toughest one to work with in younger grades. Just don't expect everyone to be an artist. And as long as you don't expect everyone to be an artist, pictographs can be fun. And it's a way to visually represent what's going on. In my mind, a pictograph, if done correctly, sort of resembles a histogram or a bar graph. Now, it's neither one of those, but if you take a pictograph and turn it on its side, you quickly see trends and differences in the data. So if you look at page 597, they have two different pictographs right there. And on the first one there on page 597, you're looking at the weights of newspapers and the various months. If you were to take that and turn your book on its side, like I mean literally take your book and turn it that way, then you almost see that as a bar graph. Okay, so that's a nice thing about a pictograph. It's a quick way to see a visual, but notice if you look at the month of September, how did they know how much of that pack of newspapers to draw? They guessed. That's the most blunt way of putting it. You know, each one represents 10 kilograms, so when you look at that, you're like, okay, was that last bundle to represent 5, or maybe it was 6 in that last bundle? Yeah, you just kind of have to guess as you're making the sketch. So know that a pictograph, though it's a quick way of coming up with a visual for the data, and it's a relatively fun way, depending on if you like to draw or not, to depict the data, it's also a very inaccurate way to depict the data that you're trying to show. So on the one that we have here on this page, you're going to draw a chart that looks almost like the one that's given, where you put the types of fish down along the side, and then instead of putting the frequency, you want to give yourself plenty of space so that you can actually start drawing out the fish to represent each one of these. All right, so here we go. All right, so we're going to put the type of fish here, and we're going to put the number of fish over here. Okay, now you could label it slightly different. On a pictograph, it's not extremely critical that your labels are put in any certain place. You could also put the type of fish along here and the number of fish along the bottom. That's fine as well. But you do need to give this thing a name. So, and you can make up the name however you want. I'm just going to call it fish inventory. Okay, anytime you make a chart or a visual, make sure you give it a title. As long as it has a title, you'll be okay. Now, for the number of fish, I now need to let the reader know what each one of my pictures is going to represent. Well, in this case, and I'm not real good at drawing these, so bear with me. You've got one of these, and then you've got the little fins on the fishies. Okay, so, okay, that fish equals 5. So every time I draw the full picture, that's going to represent 5 fish for that variety. And I'm just going to get you started on this, and then I'll let you finish it up, and then you can compare with the people around you. The first type of fish was the betta. And according to the chart, there's 5 of those in stock, so we need to draw one complete fish in the diagram. I can about tell you, if you hand this to kids, there's many kids that will have a lot more fun drawing these pictographs than we will. They'll get fancy with it, and they'll make the bettas look pretty. Just if you don't want to take long, don't put colored pencils down on the table for them. If you want it to take up time, because you got through a lesson quickly, then put the colored pencils on the table and you'll get fancy pictographs. Okay, algae eaters. Looks like there's 6 of those. So when I draw that, we know 6 is going to be 1 complete fish. and then a piece of a fish. So you decide how much that piece of a fish is. I'm going to say the tail. You decide. What's one? Well, if you want to be real technical, you could take that fish and try to divide it up into 5 equal parts, and yeah. Pictographs are not exactly accurate to begin with, so there we go. Okay, goldfish, we have 25, so that means you're going to draw 5 fish out along that one. And try to make it, I mean, have fun with it. If you just try to quickly throw them on your paper, yeah, you might as well skip this, but just have fun. Enjoy making the little sketches. Even if your drawing is not beautiful, most of the people you'll be teaching will appreciate it if you give it a good effort. And they understand that, yeah, their teacher needs to take a few more art classes. Really. Okay, now you finish it off. On the glowfish, you're going to have to estimate. Just make sure when you try to represent 7 that you have a little bit more on the fish than whatever you put to represent the 6. Okay, so just try to keep it sort of relative, but each of you is going to have a little bit more or less of the fish represented, but just try to keep it consistent for your sketch and for your drawing. So go ahead and fill in the last 4 categories of fish.